a lot of people say, and I've heard them say, well, we're not actually stealing anything physical, so it's not theft. But obviously it's what we produce, and it's what we create, and it's what we invest time and money in. So if somebody takes it without paying, then effectively it is theft. So there are two sides. And I think the key thing is that we need to maintain a relationship, which I think as developers, when we're self-publishing, we can do in a way that publishers probably couldn't. GamesIndustry.biz did a very interesting article which really resonated, which basically talked about digital rights management and the fact that if you put draconian digital rights management on a game, then actually you're driving people to pirate it, because they can either get it for free and not have the hassle of a digital rights program, or they can pay for it and go through all the hassle. And it's absolutely counterproductive. And I'm certainly of the view that if we're going to get around this, then we need to do it through building up relationship of actual mutual respect with our audience. And as I'll talk in a moment about our Beneath the Steel Sky, which we launched recently, but it's selling for £2.99, which I think is a fair price. Some people think that's too expensive, which is interesting, because it's the price of a cup of coffee, or half the price of a packet of cigarettes. And the great thing about the Apple system, which is why I think that iTunes has worked so well to stop people, most people now buy their music rather than downloading it, is that it's so easy to use. In fact, it's easier to just buy it on iTunes, and it's cheap. And I think that's a very, very important part. And then finally, I really love communicating directly with our audience. So, if there's a difficult email, I'll almost inevitably answer it personally. And we have, fantastic feedback. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, which is incredibly valuable. So to me, it's really, really important that we can build a direct relationship with the gamers, and we can do that a lot better if we're selling directly to people and they're getting feedback directly from them. So, we released a game called Beneath the Steel Sky back in 1994, and wrote it in conjunction with a guy called Dave Gibbons, who was the comic book artist behind Watchmen and co-creator. I imagine that a good number of you would have seen the film. It was a great film, wasn't it? It was a major game at the time. And I was absolutely thrilled at the reception when we released earlier this month. We released it on iPhone. Yeah, we tidied it up quite a lot, and we improved the graphics. We put a new movie in, and we improved the audio. And we added a few features as well. But I think it's just so exciting that we can take a game that was popular then, put it on the iPhone. I'm going to show you a movie in a moment, and you'll see that it's every bit as relevant today as it was then. And the interesting thing is that as a small developer, as we own the rights to our own games, we own our own games, we're in a wonderful position that we can actually exploit them in a way that it would never be worth it for a mainstream publisher. So what I'd like to do, you'll see that it was all fairly amateurish in the way that we put it together. But the great thing is, I don't think people really care. Here's a movie that we put together to sort of show the game. this isn't meant to be I'm just showing you because it's relevant to what we're doing now. But the thing that's absolutely thrilling is that I think we've got an average of 4.5 on the App Store. In America, it's an average of 5, and it's just been really, really well received, which is just fantastic. Because as a small developer, it's just an opportunity that we've been able to grasp that was made possible exclusively because of the advent of digital distribution and everything that's happening with that, and particularly also Apple, who have done an extraordinarily good job at reaching out to people and convincing them to buy music rather than download it from pirate sites, and also now to buy games. So that leaves us with Broken Sword Shatter the Templar's Director's Cut, which we released on DS and Wii earlier this year. So it's very exciting, actually. That's 2 games in the same year, which is fantastic. Particularly since, to put it in context, Revolution used to be 40 people. Now there are 2 of us. And I subcontract and work with people, very talented people, and basically put projects together on a freelance basis. And so my relationship is with freelancers rather than employees, which I absolutely love. It's great. But this was very interesting. This was taking our first Broken Sword game from 1996 and adding an awful lot of content, adding a good few hours of content, facial expressions to bring the thing to life. And the DS version got an average of 80%. It's very, very, very well received. And part of that is because, again, it's as relevant now as it was then. I think the key thing is that in the adventure genre, it's about the story, it's about the characterization, it's about beautiful graphics. The technology in 3D doesn't necessarily deliver something that couldn't be done in 2D. I've sort of talked about why I think our audience is so important, and what I want to do now is, this is a little bit old, so forgive the fact it's a couple of years old, but I want to talk about the fact that for you guys, a lot of you will be posting, and I don't know if you know, but as developers we take the posts incredibly seriously. I don't tend to contribute to them, but I do read them. Certainly if people contact me via Twitter or Facebook, I'll always reply. But as far as I'm concerned, this is Reb Fans. We've got about half a dozen fan sites,